That's right, I am back, I am here. This is Nerdly Out Loud, the official channel of nerdly.co.uk, your favourite British home for all your news, reviews, and exclusive interviews. We like to cover everything from the big budget to the low budget to the no budget. And this movie is absolutely no exception, with director Bastian Günther has brought us a decent flick that I really enjoyed, and for the most part, I would highly recommend. But then maybe at one point you could just turn it off and you'll be okay. So do all those wonderful, wonderful things that we ask you to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and ding that notification bell. It will let you know whenever I drop a new review. I've not dropped anything for a little while, reviews-wise, due to the fact that I was at Romford Horror, and that took up a lot of my time. I did a lot of interviews down there. You can check them out in my live section on the YouTubes. It's in there. That's where you'll find it. It's not stand on ceremony. Let's talk about One of These Days, the movie by Bastian Günther, starring none other than Joe Cole and Carrie Preston.
What you doing here, boy?
Going home, sir.
You ain't out here looking for trouble, are you, Kyle?
Not one bit, I swear it.
All right, folks, here's how we do. We take a truck, we draw contestants' names out of the lottery, and those lucky guys and gals stand beside that truck with one hand on it at all times. Last one to take their hands off, they win that truck.
Not a word. You didn't see nothing. I need that truck.
Isn't it dangerous? I mean, to leave a bunch of people standing out in the heat without any sleep?
No, it's a blast.
And if you've seen my reviews before, you know how I like to roll, and that is the case of that I will talk about the plot of this movie first, and I will keep it as spoiler-free as humanly possible. If I do go into spoiler territory, you have been warned right now, and I do apologize. Once I've done that, I'll jump into my cast and crew sort of ratings, who I liked, who I didn't like, what was good about them, and then I will get into my what I didn't like about this film. And it's a bit of a mixed bag because there's a lot to love, but for every good thing there is to love, there's one big steaming thing towards the end of the movie that's not to love, but we'll talk about that a little bit soon. Then at the end, I will take all of that out of consideration. I will put my bias to the side and I will give you my Nerdly Out Loud rating. That is my rating, not the rating of Nerdly on the whole, just my rating, but I am super important. I am the only guy that you need to listen to. So the plot of One of These Days is a pretty basic plot, and it's nothing we haven't really seen before, although I will say we haven't really seen it done this way. Based loosely on a true story. It's if you remember back in 1997, we had the documentary Hand on a Hard Body or Hands on a Hard Body. It was a documentary about a small town middle America where 20 people had to stand with their hands on a truck. Whoever's left standing at the end of the day, the last person standing, wins this truck. And that's what this movie is doing. It's telling the story of Joan Dempsey. She works for a local car sales garage, and she's come up with this idea where she's going to get 20 people to stand with their hands on the truck. They're going to do it every year. They're going to have beers. There's going to be a whole situation around everything that's going on. She picks people's names out of a hat, and then they turn up to do the thing. So we have a whole cast of characters coming in, but we're not really going to spend a great deal of time with many of them, except for Kyle Parson, played by Joe Cole. Yes, the movie is about these people in middle America, small town America, but it could be anywhere, because there's more of a social statement that's going on within this movie about what these people will do for, money, to provide for worldly possessions, what they're willing to put themselves through. So there's a lot of that going on. And of course, it's a movie, so we have to have things happen. And we've got a cast of like 20 characters that are all in it for their own reasons. They're all going to try and do things to mess with each other. Then sometimes they don't even have to mess with each other because the situation's going to mess with them anyway. So there's a bit of that. I'm not going to get too much more into the plot because that is the bare bones of it. If you've seen things like this before, you kind of know how it's going to go. We're going to spend most of our time with Joe Cole, and he's going to be driving the movie, and we want him to win. Or do we? Cast and crew-wise, first and foremost, I will talk about the amazing, legend, awesome actor that is Joe Cole. Now, this is a movie that he made, I believe, in 2020, and it's only just coming out now. So it is Joe Cole kind of before the Gangs of London thing. I love this character. I love the fact that he's playing an American kind of Southern character here. Little bit slower than some of the characters he normally plays. He is going to do anything to win this truck and put himself through it, no matter how much he begins to lose his mind. And lose his mind, he might just do. But the cinematography plays a big part in just how intense this role is for Joe Cole. A lot of the times he doesn't have to say anything because he's showing us everything, and that's the kind of acting that I like. Now, playing Joan, we also have Carrie Preston, which, for me, personally, I loved her in True Blood as Arlene, and I've seen her in plenty other programs, and of course she was in the Kevin Bacon movie, They/Them, but this, for me, is her career-defining sort of role. She kind of steals the movie. She steals a lot of the scenes that she's in from under Joe Cole, from under some of the other actors who are putting in a damn good performance, but Carrie Preston is kind of the star of this. And you know what it is? Like, she's not front and center. She's in it probably a little bit more than Joe Cole, but she's not in your face. Yeah, I was really, really surprised by Carrie Preston here. This is a role that she was probably born to kind of play. She endears the audience to who she is, makes you feel a little bit something for the character, because there's this whole like B plot story where she's just trying to be liked and trying to have friends and find a man and have relationships, because she's now living with her mother who's suffering from dementia, and her daughter's moved away to like Florida, and you just feel for her character, and she's kind of not really having the best time, but she's making the best of it, if that makes sense. Now, one of the other characters that we have in there is Jesse C. Boyd. He plays Frank, and Frank is sort of like, he's going to be our antagonist of the movie. He's the guy who's going to really sort of get under Joe Cole's skin, and he does for the most part, and I really like what they did. There's a great little scene, but no, I can't really talk about that. That is a spoiler. So what I'll do is I'll jump onto the cinematography, because the cinematography in this movie, the camera work in this movie, when it first started, I thought, oh no, we've got some rookie cinematography going on here. Like, what are we doing here? We're staying too long on shots, where we've got janky angles that don't really make a great deal of sense to me. And I kind of just thought, oh, Joe Cole. Yeah, I love it when you do these indie films, but maybe not this one. But then, as the movie begins to progress, and as you get to know these characters and you get the insight into their lives, I could absolutely see what they were doing. The long, awkward takes of just Joe Cole staring into the distance, or the long, awkward takes of people's hands on the car. They were building the tension. They were building the intensity that was to come later on. And they were, in a way, you couldn't get to know all 20 of these characters within this runtime. So you were just instantly sat into their minds, and you were just there as a participant more than a viewer. And that was, for me, just wonderful. The camera work really works in this film. The cinematography is fantastic, and it has that slight orange sort of deep south tinge that we have come to know and love when it comes to movies set around these sort of places. So when I talk about what I did and didn't like, that's one of the things that I loved. I loved that, the way they made me actually, it invoked a lot more from the performances and from me towards the performances than I thought it would. So I love that. The cinematography is brilliant. I have seen the documentary. I remember seeing it years and years ago when I worked in the video shop, and it's one of those documentaries that if people ask a good documentary you should check out, it is that one, because if you're willing to let yourself get into this documentary, it really is a fantastic one. So Hands on a Hard Body, check it out, you will like it. But one of the other things that I loved was how close they played this. They've said in a few other interviews, oh yeah, it's loosely based on a true story. There's a lot of similarities. And I'm glad they were there. It's something I could relate to because I'd already seen it years ago, and I kind of loved the story of it. So that was great. I'm going to stay out of spoiler territory for this. I will skirt it a little bit. But the movie's building and building and building and building. You know, it's going up to its crescendo. It's getting to that climax. It's getting us to this point. And it got there, and I thought it was bold. It was brave. It was superbly done. Very well done. I just loved the way that I wasn't ready for it to happen, but when it did happen, wow, was I ready for it to happen? And it knocked me for 6. And then the movie fades out. Brilliant. Perfect. I don't think I need anything else. And then the movie fades back in, and we have a further 10 to 15 minutes that I just don't know if I needed it. I just don't know. It was almost like we can't end it there. We need to give it some more. But it felt to me like we just didn't need this 10 to 15 minutes. You could have said that stuff before and it would have been okay. I feel like we already knew the character and we knew why they were doing these things and we knew what was being said with the commentary. I just didn't need that bit. Didn't need it. So yeah, my final rating for this movie, and remember, this is the Nerdly Out Loud rating, not the nerdly.co.uk rating, which you can go and see on the website. You'll see all the lovely freaks who do all of our reviews over there. Fantastic stuff over there. But for me, mostly due to the ending of the movie, the final 15 minutes of this movie, I am going to knock it down 1 or 2 points. And I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I genuinely thought the performances were excellent all around. Nobody gave a bad performance. It's just that choice to do that at the end. I probably would have gave this like a 4.5 because it's not completely perfect. So I maybe would have gave it a 4 or 4.5. But I have to take into consideration how that last act made me feel, and it wasn't a nice feeling. We definitely got to the perfect place to end this movie, and then we kept going, and that's a sin for me. I'm sorry, Bastian Günther. I'm sorry. You're probably not watching this, but on the whole, I would absolutely recommend this movie. I feel like people should check this movie out. It's a good little movie with a good little story. It's very independent, so definitely check it out, even if just for that. You are getting a world-class performance out of Carrie Preston. Joe Cole is absolutely on his game. And yeah, I'm just waffling now, so I'm going to go. But please do, again, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all those wonderful things. I will be back for more reviews, more interviews. We've got loads of stuff incoming. It's going to get mental for a little while, but I do like it that way. Yeah, also go to the website. Plenty of stuff on there. We're going to be bringing some wrestling reviews, some game reviews. We've got a little bit of everything coming to you now. But right now, one of these days, Bastian Günther, Joe Cole, Carrie Preston, what a job you guys have done. But I have to go with my heart and give you a 3 out of 5. But that's a good 3 out of 5. Because remember, if you didn't have that last bit, we all good.